Okay, I'd like to call to order the Planning and Zoning public hearing for Monday, April 10th, 2023. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Bowman.
Here.
Mr. Adams here. Mr. Dawson. Mrs. Downs.
Here.
Mr. Caderas. Mr. Kurtz.
Here.
Mr. Natale.
Here.
Mr. Strolla. Mr. Tedisco.
Here.
Mrs. Blake.
Here.
Mr. Hills here. Mr. Selma.
Okay, thank you. Will the Commission public please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first order of business tonight is a special permit of Mark Clement, our town engineer, Town of Cheshire, for the library. Applicants requesting special permit for section 30.29 municipal buildings and uses of the Town of Cheshire zoning regulations for the Cheshire Public Library parking lot improvements. Can we hear the call, please?
Special permit on behalf of Merrick Kemet, Town Engineer, applicant, Town of Cheshire, CO Sean Kimball, Town Manager, owner. Applicant is requesting special permit pursuant to section 30.29A municipal buildings and uses of the Town of Cheshire of zoning regulations for Cheshire Public Library parking lot improvements located at 104 Main Street, Assessors Map 5, Lot 237. You doing
Thank-
both?
Is there two? No, there's just one, right? No, just one. Okay, and representing the applicant tonight?
All right, hello, everyone. Merrick Kemet, your town engineer. I see you have a busy agenda, so I'm going to try to make this brief. So if there's anything I missed, please ask questions after this. Before you is a special permit for a site modification to the Cheshire Public Library. We're doing public parking lot improvements out there, which is located at 104 Main Street. The site area is about 1.3 acres and it's zoned R20A. The main intent, or when I first got hired here, one of my main charges was to see if we can get additional parking spaces at the library. So existing spaces we have right now are 39 spaces. So with the design that I came up with, I was able to increase that by 16 more spaces, yielding a total of 55 spaces, which includes 3 ADA compliant spaces. Some key points for this modification. We're going to be reclaiming and repaving the existing drives and parking areas. We're rotating the existing orientation of the spaces by 90 degrees. So if you picture yourself out there, the way the cars are parked right now, it's going to be rotated 90 degrees. We're going to create some islands and have some landscaping. We're also improving the sidewalk conditions, which is directly adjacent to the rear of the parking of the library structure. We're improving the existing lighting conditions out there. A photometric plan was submitted as part of the application. Currently, there are 4 light poles out there. We're actually increasing one more pole, which is going to be on the east side, which is going to be adjacent to the cemetery that's out there. And one of the main modifications, we are improving the sight lines out there. And what I mean by that is we're going to take and reverse the exit and entrances of the entire building. So currently right now, you enter on the left-hand side or the west side of the building and you exit on the other end. Now, if you can recall leaving that site, you have a terrible sight line trying to exit onto Main Street. So we are actually going to be reversing that. So you have a better sight line to exit that site. And we're also going to have proper signage and striping out there to accommodate that. As part of researching or developing that change, we did have the fire chief review this in October of last year. We actually took the fire truck and we reversed the drive in there, and everything was satisfactory as far as the fire is concerned. And with this design, we are actually decreasing the impervious coverage out there by 2.5%. So currently we have 80.6% of impervious coverage, and we're reducing that to approximately 78%. So with that in a nutshell, we are doing a site plan modification, and we thought it would be best to give you the opportunity to review it and take some feedback.
Okay, thank you. Commission members, any questions? Mr. Todd?
First, I think it's great that you're increasing the parking there because I know it's really hard sometimes to get parking. Was any thought given to the church or pizza, Cheshire Pizza, as far as the separation of the parking lots and just trying to make that one big place?
Right. So originally, the couple things there is there was negotiations with Cheshire Pizza at one point. And then all of a sudden overnight, they repaved their parking lot and line striped the entire thing. So I guess that just didn't go forward for whatever reason. I think that was before my time here. When we are in negotiations with the church right now, we're going to be adding 5 more spaces for them because in that area on the west side of the property, there's a cross easement. And we are working on negotiations for doing some parking for them and cross parking situations as well. So. And I showed it on the plan here, so we really didn't have to come back for that. So it's kind of all in a nutshell there.
Gotcha, that's good. Thank you.
Mr. Teska?
Mr. Chairman, so there's going to be 16 more spaces in the same area. I guess they're going to be smaller spaces?
No, the parking
Really?
spaces are by standard 9 feet wide by 18 feet in depth. Yeah, it's just the orientation. The existing ones has more aisles, and it just didn't flow right. So if you just turned everything, you have actually one aisle all the way around.
And the existing ones are 9-foot parking spaces also?
I believe so.
Thank you.
And just a correction, there's actually 3 spaces, I believe, in the northwest corner that are compact. So they're a little bit, they're still 9 feet wide, but they're like 16 feet in depth. And it's only like 3 spaces to accommodate that.
Is there the same space between parking spots for backing up? Because I know it always seemed like for some reason it was tight in there. And I don't know if you angled the parking spaces, if you lose any
No,
or.
everything is going to be at a 90 degree orientation. Traditionally, you want to have an aisle width of 24 feet wide. And then almost every parking lot you've ever gone to is about 24 feet wide. So yeah, there's no reduction in width. You should notice a big difference out there.
Is it going to be necessary to close the library while you're doing this?
I believe the library wants to do some interior renovations, so we're coordinating with them to work that they're going to be closed at some faction, so we can try to do some of the work concurrently. But as far as the parking lot and that work, the intent is not to close it solely, but enjoying with them, it will be closed. Yeah.
Any other commission members? Anyone from the public wishing to comment on this? Public, no? Okay, thank you. And I'll be closing the public hearing.
Thank you for your time.
Number 2, zone text amendment on behalf of the Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission. Applicants requesting amendment section 31.5, 43.8, and 45 to have temporary and limited moratorium to all developments within the C1, C2, and C3 districts, planned residential infill and special development. Can we hear the call for that, please?
Yes, to petition for a zone text amendment on behalf of the Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission. Applicant is requesting an amendment to sections 31.5, 43.8, and 45 to have a temporary and limited moratorium to all developments within C1, C2, and C3 zoning districts, planned residential infill development and special development districts.
Okay, thank you. So this was brought up by, I believe it was Mr. Bowman in the last meeting. We all thought it was a good idea to take a look at it. Whether we make changes or not, we're not sure yet. I have contacted a few people to meet regularly to get some stuff done quickly. And this is the public hearing. So if any of us have comments on anything, I'll let everyone go first and then we'll give it to the public. Mr. Bowman?
Yes, I think we should request a 6-month moratorium. I believe it can't be left open. There has to be a closing date on it. If we finish sooner, I think that we can move on it sooner and close it at that time. But I think our period should be for 6 months so that it can be looked at thoroughly and make sure that we as commissioners and for the public, we make sure that we have the proper plan for our commercial districts. I also think with the infill, I think when that regulation was passed, we didn't have as many apartments going in now, and now I believe there's probably almost 500 apartments going in. So I think that infill district should be looked at closely, and our special design district. That was again done so that we could get residential apartments into commercial areas. And I think it's, again, something that we have done a great job with as a commission in getting the apartments built in Cheshire. Next meeting, we have more affordable apartments coming in. So I think we're starting to meet the needs of the community, and we just need to look and be sure that our future development in our commercial districts is, we start to serve these people. We need retail space, and I think it's something we really should try to look at closely and do more with retail for these commercial zones than perhaps we have now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stroll.
I just want to say I agree with Mr. Bowman. I think the C1, 2, and 3 is a very scarce zone in Cheshire. We need to guard it a little bit. Giving it up to house developments with shared is a difficult task to make sure these still maintain the commercial aspect of stuff. And I think 6 months is good, and we have August off, so it will be September 15th, or that's what I would just want to know where it'd be in September would be the final date if we did 6 months.
So for the record, Mike Glidden, actually, your 6 months would start April 29th. So
It would
It'd
be
actually be
September 29th.
yeah,
Okay, so we'd still have another month, basically,
Actually-
2 meetings after we get back from
it would actually be October 29th.
the October 29th.
If we need to go that far. I mean, we're.
Yeah,
I
no,
think we
I'm
talked
just saying
about-
is that if we do it before we recess for August, that's my concern.
We originally talked about 3 months, and then we said we can extend it if we want, but then it was brought up about the 6 months, and I like the
Yeah,
6 months better. And if
think
we get
6
it done
months is the
quicker,
way
we
to
get it
go.
done quicker. It just seems.
So we're
better.
not under fire to get it done as fast. And then if we do finish, it's good. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Natale.
Mr. Gooden, if this gets approved, so you said it would be effective April 29th? So any applications that come in before April 29th?
So the applications would have to be received by the commission prior to April 29th. Starting April 29th, the commission then would basically say, we have a pause. No applications in C1, C2, C3, and/or SDD or infill. It does not affect, though, applications that are previously approved by the commission. So if someone has something approved and they come to the planning office and say, I want to pull a building permit, they still can. It'll just be new stuff.
So if this gets voted on and approved tonight, so today's what, April 10th?
Mhm.
Why another 19 days?
So I put it outside of the appeal period. Normally, when we do a text amendment, the texts become effective after the appeal period, because this is technically a text amendment application. So just doing the same cause, we'll run the legal notice this Friday and then start the 15 days this Friday.
Mr. Bowman.
Most of our applications in those districts are by special permit, so we would have a lot of input on that anyway. And if they don't meet what we're trying to accomplish, I still think we can deny without prejudice.
Any commission members? Any other question? Mr. Tesco.
Yeah, I think this is a good idea, and I thank Mr. Bowman for this suggestion, and Mr. Glidden also for putting this all together in 2 weeks. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone from the public wishing to speak? No one from the public? Okay, I'll also be closing this public hearing. Moving on to our continued public hearings. Apex Realty 242. Could we hear the call for that, please?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Bowman.
recusing myself.
Okay. 1, 2, and 3, please.
1, application for zone change. 2, an approval as a special development district, SDD, an approval of a special design project on behalf of Apex Realty 242 LLC, owner and applicant. Applicant is requesting zone change from C1 to SDD, an approval of special design project for property located at 242 South Main Street, Assessors Map 64, Lot 254. 2, application for earth removal, filling, or regrading permit on behalf of Apex Realty 242 LLC, applicant and owner. Applicant is requesting permit to waiver request 25.3.2, waiver requirements of subsection 9 under section 25.5 for the property located at 242 South Main Street, Assessors Map 64, Lot 2. 3, application for a special permit on behalf of Apex Realty 242 LLC, owner and applicant. Applicant is requesting special permit pursuant to section 45 Special Development District SDD for special design project, mixture of retail and residential for the property located at 242 South Main Street, Assessors Map 64, Lot 2.
Thank you. And representing the applicant?
Good evening. For the record, my name is Anthony Fazzone. I'm an attorney here in Cheshire with the law firm of Fazzone, Ryan, and Ricciuti, representing the applicant and owner. As the call of the meeting indicated, this is a continuation of a public hearing which started on April 3rd. The plans have been revised and submitted to show the elimination of the southern driveway on this property. That was done somewhat in response to commission members' concerns about the conflict of turns out of the southern driveway that they may conflict with right-hand turns out of the Hartford Healthcare building out of that north driveway on the Hartford Healthcare driveway. Part of the basis of this application is that it has to be contiguous to and coordinated with an approved SDD because the parcel of property for which this application is being filed is less than the acre and a half that's required. The regulations do have an exception for that. You can file for a smaller piece, the half acre, if the proposed SDD is contiguous to and coordinated with an existing SDD. The previous public hearing, the maps submitted show clearly that this is abutting and contiguous to an approved SDD. We submitted our position that we thought the combination of the architecture and adding residential uses in the contiguous property to the Hartford Healthcare building, which is exclusively commercial. I would also submit that the removal of the southern driveway in conjunction with the concerns of the commission about the conflicting turns is a further incident of coordination between the two properties. There was some confusion, I thought, when I went back and read the record about the relative elevation of the back building and its size to the front building. And I think the architect, Mr. Sullivan, indicated that the building was a half a story taller than the existing building. And in reality, it ends up, as I understand it, being at the same height elevation. And Ryan McAvoy would like to explain that.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Ryan McAvoy. I'm a licensed professional engineer. And we took the liberty of having our survey crew go out and shoot the actual peak elevation of the existing building at 242 South Main, the Bliss Wedding Facility. And that building has a peak elevation of approximately 302.5, or just over 40 feet above the grade level around the building. And I mentioned at the last meeting that our site does grade from front to back somewhat, rather gradually, but nonetheless front to back. And with the elevations of our building and the elevations of the architecture with respect to the peak of the pitched roof, our peak roof on our proposed building is at about 301.5. So it's actually just below, and of course to the rear of the existing building. So it certainly shouldn't have the appearance of being any taller or any higher. In fact, it's just slightly below what's out there today.
Can I just make a recommendation for SLR and your architects when you come? Can you guys actually put the full height dimensions on the drawings instead of leaving off the roof height, so we don't have to calculate that and we can see that a lot easier going forward?
Fair enough.
Thanks.
Any other commission members, questions? Mr. Tesco.
Yeah, Mr. Fazone, I've been kind of wrestling with this. I mean, certainly, I think all of us here like to approve things when we can, but we've got, the regulation says 45.2 location. We had some back and forth on this at the last meeting, and I thought about it. It talks about special design applications will be considered only when the proposed project is at least 1.5 acres in size, or, that's your exception, is contiguous to and coordinated with an approved special development project. And certainly it's contiguous. Coordinated has to mean something, though. And it seems to me that maybe you can convince me that it's different, that there has to be some real relationship between the contiguous project, which is smaller in size, and the major district. And here there's not. I mean, they're being built at various different times. I looked up coordinated. You're correct. The word harmonious is in the definition, and it talks about there being bringing together two or more different elements of an activity or an organization in a manner that's efficient and harmonious, which implies to me, though, that they're part of the same activity in some manner. And I'm having a hard time getting by the words of the regulation. I really don't like the regulation as much. I'm a little uncomfortable that we're not a little bit more clear by what we mean, but that's where I'm coming out on contiguous right now.
The overall concept of the SDD is to balance, started out to be to balance commercial with residential, to allow residential uses. And in this case, you have an SDD, the Hartford Healthcare property, that's exclusively commercial. And we are proposing an SDD which has some commercial on it and is proposing five additional residential units. There'll be 6 altogether because there's one already in the house. And I'm submitting that that is a coordination of the overall concept of SDD, and that the residential use itself is harmonious with what's there. It present an opportunity for people who work at Hartford Healthcare, maybe who might want to live right next door and be able to walk to work. I think the elimination of the driveway coordinates. We talked about a safety factor of right-hand turns coming out of the existing Hartford Healthcare. I think that coordinates and makes it harmonious. I think that we submitted photographs of the Hartford Healthcare building, and we submitted an exhibit that was introduced at the Hartford Healthcare application, which used the existing home here as an example of how they coordinated the architecture in the center of town, including this building with its gables, into the architecture of the Hartford Healthcare building. The regulation doesn't say connected to, doesn't say contiguous and connected to. And it has I think, a fairly broadly, a word that can be broadly construed. And it's our submission to the commission that we think we've met the portion of the regulation that says coordinated with.
Thank you.
I think to continue with what Ryan was getting into, and before I forget to mention it, for the Hartford Healthcare building, and you can blame me, I was the attorney for that project. We were able, the commission agreed that there would be a regulation that allowed building on that site to be 55 feet in height. And its actual construction is at 53 feet in height. So that, and the building we're proposing is completely behind the existing building. It is visible as you, the most visible spot is the west elevation, as you would be heading north, I think, from that direction on South Main Street. And in relation to the Hartford Healthcare building, it's certainly not oversized and out of place in the neighborhood. And it's within the existing regulation, the C1 regulation. I submitted an exhibit to try to show that I thought how we think that the application complies with the intention of the Special Development District. And I've set forth, I hope all of you received the exhibit and the highlighted language in the letter that was submitted. I would like to go over that briefly. We don't have, there's nothing else for us to present with respect to the architecture and or the site plan. That remains the same. But if you look at the text that I have reproduced from a combination of both the regulation for Special Development District, Section 45.
1 second.
Is that, I don't see anything highlighted in my packet. Is that in this letter dated April 4th?
Attached to that letter was this that had highlighting,
We don't have it.
We don't
right,
have
yellow
that.
highlighting.
We have it, it's not highlighted, it's black and white.
Oh, is it? That's why I'm asking. Is it part of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, the
The
letter's,
2-page, that's.
the
that's
letter's
what it
pretty
is.
simple. There's 3 pages of the exhibit.
Okay, we have it, it's just not highlighted.
It wasn't
for us.
highlighted. That was confusing. Thank you.
Black and white.
Save money on the color copies.
Just trying to match it up, sorry.
I think we could follow along still with the,
All
what we
right,
have.
so when the commission adopted the Special Development District Plan, there was some foresight. And if you look at what is 45.1.2, the middle paragraph and the indented paragraph on the first page, and the language So these are what the purposes of the SDD was. And one of them, 45.1.2 says, to permit tracts of land to be developed and designed as harmonious units consistent with the character of the town and neighborhood. The purpose of these regulations, and then the key part is it says, and any plan of development adopted by the Planning and Zoning Commission. When the SDD was approved, the text of the SDD was approved, the concept, the plan of development was called a plan of development. In the interim between then and now, it's been changed to become a plan of conservation and development. So that this regulation anticipated that there would be changes to the plan of conservation and development, and that the policy of the SDD regulation itself would incorporate the terms of the changes to any plan of conservation and development. I think accordingly, therefore, what that means is that the SDD is to be, an application is to be considered under the terms of today's plan of conservation and development, and not necessarily strictly what was put into place when that was developed back in 1975. In the plan of conservation and development, there's a paragraph entitled a more flexible SDD. It can be found at page 4 of the 2016 Plan of Conservation and Development. And within that, it talks about the 1.5 acres, and it says the 1.5 acres has the potential to limit its applicability. What I've highlighted is the next sentence that goes on to say, the other difficulty is that the SDD was implemented to concentrate future retail uses in the center, which may have made sense in 1975, but has limited potential now for the various reasons already discussed. And prior to that, in the Plan of Conservation Development, the commission and the Planning and Zoning Commission in the Plan of Conservation Development discussed the fact that their Route 10 being a busy street has an effect on it. They talked about the crosswalks not being very friendly. They made recommendations with respect to the crosswalks, and that recommendation has been fulfilled. Most of the crosswalks at least from Academy Road to Cornwall Avenue have been improved significantly and become more pedestrian friendly. But so the key there is that the commission thought that the plan for future retail in the center of town had limited potential. And they go on to say, it is important I think most of you were on the commission when the current Plan of Conservation and Development was approved. So you went on to say, it is important, however, that the zoning regulations provide sufficient flexibility to maintain the economic health of private properties within the center. If you were to go back and review the record, you would see that we expressed the opinion that the residential properties, the residential addition to this property would help ensure the retail viability of the front portion of the property that's there in existence today. again, in that very same paragraph, the commission went on to say, some consideration may be made to reducing the minimum lot size for SDD projects and to permitting primary residential rather than requiring them to be subordinate to the commercial uses. It does go on. I did not highlight this part. Mr. Bricado kind of mentions frequently that I don't tell the whole story. But it does go on to say the adjustment is not a recommendation to convert large portions of the commercial base in the center to residential. It's important for you to note that we are, again, for the record, maintaining the commercial use and intending to maintain the commercial use of the front building. The intent is to encourage investment and economic activity. I think with respect to the other apartments that several commission members had mentioned in the earlier public hearing with respect to the moratorium, that a lot of apartments have been approved, but that was also based on presentation that the apartments and the residential uses were themselves economic activity. At the top of the second page, I did not go into highlighting any specific factors, but it calls for providing for various types of housing for different income groups. And it calls for the whole concept of the infill and the SDD concepts were to utilize existing infrastructure. And this application does exactly that. It already has public water and public sanitary sewer available. To my knowledge, there certainly are not a large number of the type of housing that's being proposed, townhouses with parking garage underneath. And specifically, then in the middle of the second page, growth management principle. And if you'll recall, if you look at the plan of conservation and development, one of your tasks was to show how your plan of conservation and development corresponded to the regional plan of conservation. And the answer was that this plan, meaning your plan of conservation and development, recommends amendments to the existing affordable housing cluster and special design district regulations to promote efficiency and offer housing choice, and also recommends development of a planned area development regulation, which will include residential as a component of mixed-use development, which I submit is exactly what we're doing with this application before you. Another aspect of the plan of conservation and development at pages 2 and 3 talks about protecting the historic district. The historic district is about a half a block, 2 or 3 properties away from this, and I think it should be recognized by the commission that the applicant is protecting maintenance of an existing structure that was built in 1890. It is part of the streetscape of Cheshire. that streetscape is not being modified at all. The house has had work done it and has some restoration done to it, but all in keeping with its original features. And it does not, I guess the word used is protecting the historic district. It's maintaining that same look within a relatively close distance to the historic district. Going on to the third page, the part of the discussion of the SDD, item number 4 talks about to permit residential use as a secondary use in conjunction with a commercial application or by itself when the size, scope, and magnitude of such residential use is subordinate to the primary use and purpose of the SDD. And in that respect, within the text of the Plan of Conservation Development, it talks about the SDD, and it's all capitalized and in bold terms. And that's reference to the entire SDD district, not the particular SDD application. So it says, and it talks about when the size, scope, and magnitude of such residential use, in our case, 5 units, is subordinate to the primary use and purpose of the overall SDD. And that's another example where I think we can argue that it is coordinated with the commercial use on the adjacent property. And again, the rest of the sentence talks about which is to implement the commercial chapter of the plan of development by encouraging primarily commercial growth. I understand that. I think that's somewhat confusing by the addition of that ending. It's maybe confusing, but if you look at it in terms of the concept of the entire SDD and all of the commercial that's in there, again, the 5 units itself does not in any way overpower the commercial uses in the center of town. And it's not removing a prime commercial property. And I think one of the most significant portions of this exhibit is the last part on page 3, which is a summary of the commercial policy recommendation, which is found at page 11 of the Plan of Conservation and Development. So now, why I think this is important is that it's in the commercial chapter, not in the SDD chapter. And item number 2 in that, which I have highlighted, is a recommendation that the commission amend the special development district regulations to achieve more flexibility in SDD projects with consideration given to lot area and residential uses, both of which we are involved in the proposal that we're making in our application. more flexibility in projects with consideration given to lot area and residential uses. The one way to look at this, and where the plan of conservation development and the text of the zoning regulations such as 45.1.2 come into effect and are more often than not reviewed by courts when the commission has approved an application and someone appealing the application says that it's not supported by the plan of conservation development. It's contrary to the plan of conservation development. Well, I think that the last two lines of the exhibit, item number 2 under the commercial policy recommendation, provides ample indication that the proposal before you is consistent with your plan of conservation and development. I took a look, and since 2016, within your town center focus area, which pretty much to a great extent overlaps with the special development district, at least the northern portion, or I'm sorry, the southern portion of it, which comes from Academy Road. Almost, part of it goes almost down to Chipman on the east side of the highway. But in that period of time, and I'm including, because I think they come under the same concept of having a more vigorous town center and having a town center with people walking around in it. To that extent, the infill regulation is based on that concept also. And within this area, since 2016, the date of your plan of conservation development, you've approved 15 units at Old Town Commons. 4 of them are under construction at the present time, right? It's 4 in that building? But 1 building is 4.
They're starting the second one.
Well, so of the 15 that are approved, 8 of them are either under construction or about to be constructed. But count them as 15 units. At 138 Highland Avenue, which is not an SDD, but rather it's an infill zone that's done in an R20A zone. And the 5 units that we're asking for approval here, I couldn't think of any other units within the SDD that are either in construction or about to be approved. There's another infill approval down at the corner of Elm Street and South Main. That's not under construction yet, but I think that's also outside of the that's not in the town center focus area or the SDD area. I couldn't think of others that fit in the concept of readily being walkable to the town center and being part of the town center. That is our presentation.
Okay, I'm sure we got some questions up here. Mr. Natale was going to go first, so.
bear with me. Right now, I think I've got 3 or 4 questions. So as part of the application, Mr. Glidden, I'm asking you on this too. It says the application for zone change to approval as a special development district. So this is going to be approved, if it's approved, as its own special development district, correct?
Yes.
Its
There's
own
a-
special development district.
You
So-
you have to change the zone of the property from the C1 to a special development district and a special development project. And some places in there, the word development is interchanged with design.
But this is its own special development
This
district.
is the-
This property would be its own,
It is
not
its own.
included with next door, not included with down the street. It would be its own.
is
So
its
going
own.
back to what Mr. Tedisco was saying about contiguous and coordinated, as of the last meeting, you had said that the owners of the Hartford Healthcare didn't even return your calls about the garage or parking or something over there.
Well,
So we did talk about that being not necessarily coordinated in that sense of it. But with this being its own standalone special development district, when you go back and you look at 4514, it says to permit residential use as a secondary use in conjunction with a commercial application or by itself. So not looking at the property next door, looking at this as its own special development district, how is the residential secondary to the commercial?
Well, if you look up above, I pointed out that the commission said at that time, you can refer to any plan of development that adopted by the commission. So I'm going to the plan of conservation and development to show that we think it does comply, notwithstanding. You were reading with
4514.
4.
Again, with this being its own special development district, not taking into account anything else on either side.
Right, but it's in the overall special development district.
Okay.
I think that it calls for a balance within that. I don't think you don't have a perfect balance on every SDD.
So what is the square footage of the new building that's being proposed?
Square footage in the new building.
One second.
Well, right.
Mr. McAvoy's looking that up. My next question is going to be around square footage too for the existing building. What's the square footage of the commercial? What's the square footage for the apartment upstairs? So I don't know if Mr. McAvoy has all that.
One at a time, hold on. I'm estimating, but it's approximately 3,500 square feet for the new building.
And how much of the existing building is commercial? How much is residential?
First 2 floors are commercial, and the upper 3rd floor is residential. So roughly 2/3 of the building's commercial today.
How big's the building?
The footprint is about 2,500 square feet
In total?
in total. But that also includes the building, the accessory structure in the back. But
Okay.
it's about, we'll say 2,000 square feet. Just for
1,000
argument's
square
sake.
feet? Okay. So it's like 650 to 700 square feet of that building is commercial.
No, it's two stories, so it's over 3,000 square feet is dedicated to commercial.
Okay. So let's back up a second. How big is that building? How many?
The footprint,
The whole building, how much is the square footage?
We estimate there's about 3,200 square feet of
Okay.
commercial space.
So about 3,000. So you're going to have 3,000 as commercial. another 3,500 as residential for the additional building, plus more on top of that. So, and for attorney for zone, again, is the residential truly a secondary use? Since the residential is going to have more square footage than the commercial.
I guess if you just look at it in terms of square footage, you could look at it in terms of traffic. You could look at it in terms of.
I'm just going with square footage, apples to apples. There's more
I don't
residential
know
than
where
commercial.
It says it has to be by square footage. It also says it can be in 41.4, it says, or it can be by itself, the residential use by itself. It gives you an alternative. So I think you could almost present a 5-unit residential without any commercial.
So if this were to get approved, I know that we can't control what commercial is in that building because businesses come and go. Is there anything we could put in there to say, if it is, I'm going to say again, roughly 3,000 square feet is commercial, that has to remain commercial?
You want to go
I
first?
think we did talk about that.
I know we talked about it, but I'm
At the
asking
last meeting.
if that would be added to the
You want
language for the
Mr.
approval.
Glidden to answer it?
So if the property owner wanted to convert any of the, let's say, existing commercial space in the Bliss Bridal building to another apartment, that would have to come back to this commission for approval. That they couldn't just do that. So, I mean, that's one of your safeties, the fact that that would be a discretionary or public a special permit process, at least under the existing regs, for them to come back and say, I want to modify the previous approval.
Could
So
they-
then, in that point, then, just like tonight, you're having this kind of discussion from almost a legislative discussion saying, do we really feel this is consistent with the plan of conservation development? Of which at time you could say, no, adding another apartment to the 6 that are here is not. And Attorney Fazone, would you agree with that?
Yes, and I think the record reflects that I said the last time that could not be changed to residential without coming back here and going through the same process.
Mr. Stroller wanted to add something?
But could they eliminate the apartment or making one of the residential units a commercial use?
Probably have to come back.
So either any change at all.
Any substantive change to this approval would have to come back to this commission.
I have one more question, different topic. So in other applications, we've had problems with the state of Connecticut with properties being on a state road. We say one thing, state overrules us, exits, entrances, things change. So I know that part of the application is eliminating that other driveway. If the state were to come in and say, well, we really want that, does that override us? Could the state do that?
We have a plan in front of you that does not have a curb cut on the southern end of the property.
Well,
So we're asking you to approve that plan.
okay, I'm gonna go back to the Hartford Healthcare building because again, you're familiar with it because you did it. We had requested higher curb cut, higher banking going out. State came back and said, well, yeah, you don't really need it to be that high or that much of a curb.
For the
So that got overruled. We also wanted to, well, it's probably the state. I was going to say the breakdown lane or the stripe lane.
Left-hand turn lane.
No, not the
Into
left-hand
the
turn lane,
building?
right
No?
out in front. Originally the state was going to move that line closer so no cars or trucks or anything could park there for the Dunkin' Donuts. That changed after approval also because the state came back and said, well, we don't really want that. So again, I'm just concerned on some projects on state roads that the state can come in and change our approval.
So some of the improvements that you're describing, which are entirely within the state right of way, DOT has sole jurisdiction.
Okay.
They can overrule you on that. As for the driveway, it's on site. If DOT were to come back and say, no, we don't want you to get rid of it, unfortunately, the applicant would be stuck in a position where they'd have to come back to get permission to retain it based on what they've presented and if that plan were to be approved by this commission.
I'd like to add something that if I could, just to sort of expand on that a little bit, the DOT could say, leave the curb cut in place. But once you get interior to the property, within the site itself, we could still eliminate the driveway and make that landscaped. So there could be a curb cut with nothing behind it, essentially. So I don't think that's likely, but that would be a scenario that, hypothetical that would come up. But
With that, again, just like my former question, sir, could that be part of an approval? If the state were to want to keep the curb cut, we're still not going to have that driveway.
Well,
That's what he's submitting for a plan.
you have a plan
Nothing.
to show the removal of that driveway. That's what they're going to have to build.
That's what he said. If the curb cut stays, there'll be grass behind it, curb cut to the lawn. I mean, that's what's
Curb
submitted
cut
in
to
the
nowhere.
plan, so there's no.
Just want to make sure I'm a little leery from past applications.
No, I understand, but they can't make them keep that driveway. It's their personal property, and they're saying they're getting rid of it, so it's going to be lawn, and that's what's on the plan. If they wanted to keep it, they would have to come back to us to ask if they can keep the property.
As a
the
practical,
driveway.
as a practical matter, I think the state's going to like
Happy
very
with
much
getting rid of
that
it.
we're eliminating the curb cut.
Especially next door to the other one, yeah.
Any other questions, commissioners? Mr. Harris.
A price range of what the apartments are going to be or an estimate?
I think not. No. Again, I think we talked about that a little bit the last time. But they're not intended to be affordable within the meaning of the Affordable Housing Appeal statute.
Any other questions from commissioners? No? Okay. Public, anyone from the public wishing to speak? Okay. You're all set with your application?
We are.
You are? Okay. Then I will be closing the public hearing. Thank you. Okay. Moving on, we have the zone text change for Lisa Calhoun, and we have the applicant for special permit for Lisa Calhoun. Could we hear both of them, please?
For petition for a zone checks change on behalf of Lisa Calhoun, petitioner, application is requesting an amendment to section 30.41 of the Cheshire zoning regulations to add ice cream parlors as a specially permitted use in the R20A zoning district as per submittal. 5, application for special permit on behalf of Lisa Calhoun, applicant Sherwin Dawson, owner. Applicant is requesting special permit pursuant to section 30.41 of the Cheshire zoning regulations for an ice cream parlor for the property located at 500 South Main Street, Assessors Map 71, Lot 88.
And representing the applicant tonight?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Bowman.
I regret to inform you that I will be recusing myself from this application. This past week, I have received a phone call from an elected official on the town council speaking to me about this project. I didn't think that it was right that he did, and I will be recusing myself.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bowman.
I received a letter from a neighbor. Okay,
I think
all right.
the-
I forgot the letter.
Yeah, the letter, yeah, it was in front of us tonight. The letter came to all of us, addressed, I think, to all our homes.
Yep.
Mr. Kaderis turned it in to planning, and it is out there. It's all public knowledge now. It's that we have all received it. So
Okay.
now you're on.
So you had asked me to amend the floor plan that I gave to you last time. I think you have a copy of the new one.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry. Hang on.
maybe in order the confusion from the last meeting, could we just hear the text amendment public hearing first? We'll hear any comments or testimony related to that, then here the special permit, which is specific, just so you could separate the two. I know that a few people, we brought some concerns that it got kind of gray last meeting. So maybe if we could just discuss the text amendment first,
Okay,
that's okay. It's okay with the commission?
that works with me. So we're gonna scratch number 5 for now, and we're just gonna talk about number 4. Okay, so if you could. No, number 5 is the special permit for the ice cream parlor. We're only to number 4 talks about, am I on the right? The zone text
Yeah,
change, right?
And in
Yeah.
that text change, I mean, I think there should be restrictions on 9 months, not year round. I think that should be a restriction.
Okay, well, she has
No,
the floor if she wants to.
That's what I'm,
Let's let her speak first, so. If we, not on the actual proposal in front of you, if you want to convince us for the actual zone text change. We're not going to discuss yet the building itself and the business itself.
I'm a little confused. I'm not really sure what's.
Well, you have 2 things in front of us. One is a zone text change to allow you to put this use in, and then your second request is to actually have the use in the zone text change.
What am I speaking to? Like
Changing R20A to accommodate ice cream parlors.
Correct.
but the restrictions are only on Route 10, right?
Yeah, so maybe so you have the text amendment before you, which adds ice cream parlors as specially permitted use within properties that are zoned R20A that have frontage on Route 10. So I don't know, does you have any other comments or concerns for the applicant regarding that request, which is independent of the actual?
Michael, where is that is it in the motion you're talking about?
Number 4 of the public hearing.
On the public hearing? Okay.
Yes.
It's that she has to change the zone to accommodate ice cream parlors.
Right. What I meant was you reworded it. Did we get a copy of what you reworded?
So you have before you, it's just the text amendment which was submitted by the applicant, very specific, like I said, just to add it to add the use by special permit for properties that have frontage on Route 10. That's it. Commissioner Strollo brought up adding maybe a 9-month duration for those uses in addition to the requirement that it be a property that's on Route 10.
Yes.
So Michael, but just to give that something concrete. So what we're doing in terms of a text amendment, I'm looking at paragraph 41 in section 30, Schedule A permitted uses. And the text amendment, what does it do more than just take where we have R28 and N and put an S there? That's the text amendment.
Yep.
Just to point out, okay.
With the caveat with the frontage on Route 10.
Right. So that would have to be added into paragraph 41 at some place, but it's not, okay.
So adding it on to Route 10 is the only thing we're changing on this?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's an ice cream store, so it's basically a 9-month business. It's a seasonal business. And I think that because of the restriction of R20A, I think that it's better to keep it as a 9-month business, and then its impact on any neighbor or whatever would only be 9 months. So, I mean, it's kind of like, I think that that's, to me, if it's an R20A, it's a we're adding something to the regulation and the zone text change. So there should be limitations of what could be done in that zone.
Would the 9 months be like April through
Yeah, basically,
December,
if
or
you
could it
close
go,
down, I
like,
mean, you would
March
pick
to? I
just
could pick the
90, 90 days, basically. You'd be
Okay.
closed for 90 days. So, I mean, if you closed down in December 20th and you opened up March 20th,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, usually stores close down anyway for,
Right, that's what I was planning on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you're going to be planning on doing it anyway. It's
Right.
just that it's in the regulation that we do that, because there was talk of
Okay.
coffee shops and, selling an egg sandwich, and now you have this is this eliminates that. It's an ice cream store. If you're making ice cream cakes or whatever, it's whatever you're doing with ice cream is specific for the season. So you have 9 months to make it happen.
I'm not really sure. I'm sorry. This is a new thing to me. I've never done this before. So you want me to speak to those?
I mean,
things?
are you opposed to that as
No,
a
I'm not.
as
I'm
a
not
store
opposed
owner?
to that. I was planning on, being a seasonal business and closing for a couple of months during the year. So I'm not opposed to that. No, I'm not opposed to only being ice cream. That was what my plan
Yes.
was. Also, I don't really wanted to have the coffee. That was something that was kind of thrown around, tossed around an idea, but the coffee.
Because I mean, the concern with the neighbors, a lot of neighbors came and gave testimony that
I
they were
understand. Yes, I
concerned.
understand.
And I think that would take a little bit of the concern of, because now you're not dealing with snow plowing,
Right.
lack of spaces,
Mhm.
parking, kids going around in the middle of a snowstorm or something like that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I'm not opposed to that at all. I'm also, was thinking that because I would be open from the afternoon and into the evening, it wouldn't impose, all day on the doctor's business next door. It would only be an overlap of a few hours.
Do you feel that there should be, I mean, with this zone text, do you think that there should be a restriction on hours also? Or
No, I don't think there should be. I'm just saying I'm planning on I'm not going to open at 9 o'clock in the morning to serve ice cream. I'm going to open
and what time would you be closing?
like 9 o'clock in the evening.
So. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
I
Mike.
think, I said this in the past, the hours of operation, I think really be something worth attaching to a special permit, not in the regulations, because location wise, there may be one that it makes sense that, oh, they can stay open till 10 o'clock, where another location would be like, no, this is in an area, 9 o'clock, lights out, dark. So I would suggest that.
I know in one other regulation we did recently, we passed where it had to be at a stoplight. I know that we passed that. And you remember there had to be, what was it, for like a restaurant or something, for a coffee shop, for a drive-through
That was-
maybe?
That
What-
was the,
What was that?
that was the restaurant in the north end. that we
Yes.
talked about, which could only be in one spot, which turned out to be a Dunkin' Donuts was the restaurant.
Yeah, but didn't we like pass something that was,
If I remember correctly, my memory's going back a few years, but the way it was phrased, there was only one spot in that area that the restaurant could be because of where there was a light or something else. like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
There was
but it was a-
that one
was a drive-through
area.
or something?
That's not what's happening here.
No, I know, but I'm just saying is that's another restriction, but, okay.
I mean, I think the issue for us on the text amendment is, and it's my thought, others may have different opinions certainly, is whether allowing a selling of food, which limited to ice cream, changes the nature of our R20 zones in some way that's significant. And because once we change the text, then there could be other ice cream establishments. How many there would be, who knows? But are we changing the character of the R20 zone? I thought about it to the extent that it was just professional offices and real estate companies and such. The answer would be yes, I think. But now I guess you could have a fitness center in an R20 zone, which is different from a professional office and some of the other things. So I'm still not sure about this. I don't know that we would ultimately want to have a lot of little restaurants, but maybe once we open the door, I guess that's a possibility, even though this is limited to ice cream. And we could always say no to it.
Mr. Todd.
So since we're looking at R20A only with frontage on Route 10, you just brought up something, Michael, I believe, drive-throughs, walk-up windows. Should we look at those also, or is that a case-by-case basis?
Well, if you're talking about definition for an ice cream parlor, the definition, hold on a second.
I think that should be restricted. You shouldn't have a drive-through.
Yeah, that's where I'm
or
going with that, 'cause
walk-
like-
The definition says only when served inside the building.
That's
Yeah,
where
there's
it's-
no walk-up either.
Yeah,
And
it should be
that
just served.
property isn't really,
Yeah, but it should be able to be going
to
inside the
have a
building.
drive-through.
That's kind of what you're looking for.
Yeah,
it's not set up really for a walk-up window either.
But you beat me to it. It's, well, one, the use is by special permit, but two, the service has to be inside the building according to
Yeah.
regs. So it already eliminates, you can't have it.
I mean, that eliminates the neighbors complaining about like papers being dropped or whatever too. If they're coming inside the building, they're going to use a garbage can, hopefully, so.
Okay, Commissioner members, any more on the zone text? Public, anyone from the public wishing to speak on the zone text change, come on up. And like we said, we're speaking for the zone text change, which is all of R28, not just this particular piece of property.
My name is Charles Bittiscombe. I live at 35 Chipman Drive. I abut the property of 500 Main Street, and I am opposed to changing the R20A zone. I'm opposed to adding the any type of food service into that zone. That is, or historically, in my 26 years here in Cheshire, has always been law offices, banks, financial offices, real estate companies, professional services that are open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, maybe an occasional Saturday. We have beauty parlors that are in there. We have funeral homes, all manner of professional, businesses. I am opposed to adding food service, be it ice cream or anything else, into that R20 zone. I think that'll change the character of the zone. I think it'll change the nature of the zone. And there's a lot of R20A abutting on Main Street here in Cheshire. And any one of those with this text change could easily come here and apply and ask for ice cream, or you open the door to other changes to the R20A. I would rather keep Cheshire, Cheshire, keep the professional services professional, keep the commercial buildings commercial, and, restrict it and not add the text change at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jim Doheny, live at 86 Chipman Drive. I've been there for 40 years. My main concern, and I don't even know if this is proper, but it's the traffic that's going to be there. I'm opposed to the food service and the text change, mainly because of the traffic. I've watched so many near misses from students coming across the street to Chipman Drive.
Yeah, but this we're not actually talking about the 500 South Main Street. We're actually talking about all of R20A.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand that. But I'm going to respectfully disagree with a couple of things here. Dunkin' Donuts is not a drive-through, and there's wrappers. I walk around here a lot. There's wrappers and garbage everywhere. Dunkin' Donuts are, McDonald's, and I don't know if that's in the zone, but there's wrappers and garbage everywhere. It's just, I think it's a very poor fit for the area. And you want to talk about the building change and things like that, I'll get up and speak about that then.
Okay.
But right now, like my neighbor Charles said, the buildings and the businesses that are there just seem to fit better. The food service thing is, I just think it's a very bad idea. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to speak, sir? That's all. Yeah.
Hello, Crystal LaRusso, 28 Chipman Drive. So I'm going to echo a little bit, but pretty short and sweet. I'm really concerned about the precedent. Rakisa Salon just went up for sale again, and I understand we're talking about a property across the way, but we changed the text change for this location. We changed it 300 yards down for Rakisa Salon. And now what has always been a hair salon could be something different in a whole different category with this text change. So look, I'm worried about the precedent. I agree with the food in that area anyways, but the precedent we're setting here is really going to have a profound impact on a severely congested area of Route 10 at multiple times throughout the day. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
For the public, I'd like you to read what's allowed in the R20A zone right now.
Good evening, Dr. Neil Zombak, 62 Hawthorne Drive, owner of Complete Foot Care, 478 South Main Street. I'm opposed to the change for the reasons that have been expressed here before me. Moved to this, I moved to this town 32 years ago, and I believe that, like everybody said before me, that a change is going to change the character of this town. I like to keep it the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Glidden, you have it.
Yeah, we'll start off. Hair and beauty salons, including barber shops, are permitted by a special permit in the district. Banks are allowed by special permit. Professional offices, medical or dental clinics and laboratories, all by special permit. Wireless telecommunication facilities are allowed there in the R20A. I think I missed that last meeting.
Is a gym allowed? That's what Lou just said. A gym was allowed in the.
Yeah, let me go back. Yeah, let me make sure in the regs here. Healthcare and exercise facilities are allowed by special permit. So exercise facility, gym, yes, that would be allowed.
And then
Funeral homes also.
funeral home, yeah.
Is that the extent of the list?
That's the extent of the uses.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Churches, universities, public service corporation buildings, which is really like utility use, RWA, like a pump house, or if it was the Water Pollution Control Authority, and town facilities. The town could put something in the R20A by special permit, which, as long as we demonstrate it's a town facility, it could be anything that serves the purpose of the town. Oh, sorry, one last one. Pet grooming. A pet groomer is allowed, so you can have that's in a permitted, especially permitted use in section 3026.
Okay. Any
Thank
other
you.
commission members? Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Ms. Callen?
So with that list, I feel like a lot of those things that were listed would increase traffic. They could be high traffic businesses. I mean, I've always found Cheshire to be a very family friendly town, and an ice cream parlor next to a park, I think, goes along with that. So I don't agree that it would change the character of the town. I'm anticipating that a lot of the business that I would get would come from the park, and hopefully people would just walk, over, as opposed to driving in and out. Not to say that there wouldn't be people driving in there, but I don't agree that it would change the character of the town. I don't know. That's
None of the other uses have restrictions as far as, like I said, for 9 months at
No,
all. It would be the only restricted
no,
use as far as year round.
that would be the most restrictive use.
Mr. Karas?
I don't know how much I feel comfortable limiting a person's business to 9 months of the year. If they have a business and they have it open, whether it's ice cream or otherwise, it should be up to them and not us. I don't see the benefit to the town. We either can allow it or we don't allow it, but allowing it limiting it to 9 months limits people what they can do with their own property. I'm I'm a little wary of that.
Yeah, I think that the concern for the neighbors was traffic. And I mean, and I look at like, how much ice cream you're selling when it's snowing. It's really and most ice cream stores close down in the winter anyway. And I mean, a concern was the people of Chipman Drive were concerned about, traffic, whatever. I just thought that would be a fix. So.
To Mr. Kaderis's point, the consumer is going to determine what can be born, what is sustainable. So to your point, if she's open 12 months out of the year and folks aren't showing up in the winter months, then she's got a call to make. So it's really the consumer that is going to drive the success or the foot traffic of what she's proposing. Just food for thought.
Sorry, but yeah, you can still time for public if you wish to speak.
I'm back, 62 Hawthorne Drive in Cheshire. I also agree with the fellows that have opposed the R28 amendment, the change. Wherever there's food, 9 months, 12 months a day, you can get animals, rodents, rats, opossums, skunks, besides the pollution that we see on the roads and on the sidewalks and on our beautiful park. It'll be disgusting. It'll be disgusting. It's not a good idea. Not a good idea to have food there.
People bring food into the park as it is now.
Okay. Commission members, anything else? Anyone else from the public? No? Okay. So the zone text, I'm going to close that public hearing. Now we will hear number 5. Can we hear the call for that, please?
Application for a special permit on behalf of Lisa Calhoun, applicant, Sherwin Dawson, owner. Applicant is requesting special permit pursuant to section 30.41 of the Cheshire zoning regulations for an ice cream parlor for the property located at 500 South Main Street, Assessors Map 71, Lot 88.
Thank you. Now you can speak about your particular application.
Okay, so I revised the floor plan that you had requested. So if you're looking at the bottom of the page there where it says front porch, then you'll see where the main entrance is. When people come in, they would go over to the right-hand side where there would be the counter. They would do the ordering there. They would go around to the left, pick up their order, and then the checkout would just follow around that way. I added seating. There's an emergency exit in the back. I don't know if this clears up some of the questions you had from last time, but.
And you eliminated the coffee. I see like 11, 12, and whatever 6 was before. 6 was
Yeah,
a counter or something.
The coffee. And I have, some cases for frozen novelties. I have, refrigerated case for beverages, an area for dry storage and refrigerated storage. And then this back room where the sinks would be.
Okay, commission members, questions on the application in front of us? Mrs. Downs.
If this were to be approved, first, there's a couple steps here. Would you be willing to blockade the parking between so that the only way in or out of the facility is through the main entrance, not going through, so that there would actually be a block so that you couldn't cut out onto Chipman? So-
I'm not sure is that something for the building owner to?
Well, the building owner maybe should be here to answer that question, I guess is part of what I'm saying, is because I think there is.
I'm not opposed
Right.
to that if that's what, people would want. I'm not opposed to
I
that,
don't-
and I don't know that that's my call to make.
I'm just saying, if it were to pass
Mhm.
the zone change and then you were able, I would say that I would vote against it unless the ability to go out Chipman was eliminated.
Mhm.
So that if it was going to exist, that it
Mhm.
would only be in and out off Route 10. so that people don't cut through. And the people that have the foot place, they don't cut through and they become two separate parking lots.
Right.
But I guess you can't really answer to that.
I'm not sure. I'm not opposed to it.
Right, okay. I think that that wouldn't work without that wall.
Okay.
Michael, I'd like to ask you, just following up on that, because it seems, I thought about that, thinking about this over the last couple of weeks. Would the fire department have any problem with if we put up a fence in between the two parking lots? I mean, you're making it hard to get in and out of the parking lot then. And you maybe can't answer that question sitting here now. Are we talking about a barrier of some kind? Is there an issue that goes beyond what the applicant can do or what the owner could do legally?
So I actually asked that question of the fire department. They did not have an objection if it was a fence, to
They
put
would
a
not
fence
object.
along the northern property line through the parking lot. Their position would be if it was a emergency and they needed to get behind the building, that fence will not be there. The truck goes through it. I'm sorry to give you an answer like that, but that's the reality. They would want something that is something simple, that if they need to get through there, they're going to get through it. So not a wall, not a structure, a fence. You wouldn't have an
They
issue
could put a
with.
swing gate with a lock. I mean,
Or
that's,
that's my next comment, is that, to go one step further, you put a gate in there so that they can open it and get through. And they can have a key to the gate, not an issue. That's the way to avoid having your fence destroyed at the time of emergency.
Any other commission members? Were you all done? I'm sorry, Ms. Dunn, did you have more questions? That was it? Okay.
So you have the applicant agreeing to it. Really, you'd want to know that that's her issue with the property owner, to make sure that he's okay with it too. But you have an applicant that's agreeing to that condition. So you could ask for that.
We ask for it and it's not done.
You'll get in.
Commission members, any other questions? No? Are you all set with what you were going to say? Public, this is on the actual building itself and the actual project itself.
Again.
Hello, again, Neil Zombak, Dr. Zombak, and Trevon Zombak, 62 Hawthorne Drive, 478 South Main Street, adjacent to 500. So I think the biggest thing that we're concerned about here is traffic with capital TRAFFIC. It will add yet another pocket of already congested traffic on Route 10. The area around 500 South Main Street heading north and south past Chipman Drive may be the most congested stretch of Route 10. We have the high school, Park Rec Building, Bartlam Park, and the residents on Chipman Drive. In addition, this type of business, this is, I think, the most important thing. There's a frequency of cars. It's an in and out situation. This isn't, we looked at all the different things in the R20, whether it's exercise, dog grooming, whatever. These are things that are not in and out all the, there's a time space, just like with a physician's office or anybody else. So that really adds a dimension, I believe. So, really it's a risk. There's congestion, traffic, and there's real safety issues. And honestly, as a taxpayer, I would hope that really there be some kind of traffic assessment by police or whoever to report, assess accidents, frequency of accidents, pedestrian injuries before this council decides on such a move. Other concerns, loitering. Patrons will be around until 9 o'clock at night in a residentially zoned area. This is a concern. And, professional, right. Littering and trash. Exposed garbage to attracting flies, possibly rodents, skunks, and opossums. Capitalizing on taxpayer property with the gazebo. What about the maintenance and the cleanup of the gazebo in the surrounding area? Who's going to do that?
And then I say, let the concession stand at the park and the ice cream trucks that frequent the park have that business. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak on this?
One more time. Jim Doheny, 86 Chipman Drive, Cheshire, Connecticut, 40 years. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've had near confrontations with people at the end of Chipman Drive. Right now, and aside from the ice cream parlor issue, every single day that school is open, there's parents parking on Chipman Drive. My wife has called the police multiple times. The police rarely come. Once they came and got into an argument with the people parking there. They parked there to pick up their kids. The kids walk from the high school across the street, no crosswalk, no lights, no anything. I love ice cream. I thought when I first heard this, this will be a nice idea. I'll walk up the street. I'll get an ice cream cone on Sunday. Then I started to think about what really goes on up there. I mean, we got quads running up and down Chipman Drive now that the police don't come. The litter, I agree 100% with the gazebo and all that stuff. I don't know any nice way to put it. It really does. It just boggles my mind that we put these young people at risk. I mean, they're not going to walk across Route 10 to get an ice cream cone. They're not. I've been saying for years we should have a walk bridge from Bartlett to the high school. It's a miracle nobody's gotten killed there. It really is. And I you know what? I walk around a lot. I drive around a lot. People on Chipman Drive change their habits because of the traffic on Route 10. They really do, right? I mean, for years and years, I worked from 5:30 in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, and everybody kept saying, oh, Route 10, Route 10. It didn't really affect me. Now, I'm going out there 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. It's a disaster. You can't sometimes take a left out of Route 10 just because of the traffic and the school buses. It's literally 3 lanes south, whether you call it 1 or 2, or the state calls it whatever they want. It's 3 lanes. There's 1 lane turning into the high school, there's 1 lane south, and there's 1 lane turning into the pool and the parking lot where the kids go. And coming up Route 10, I don't know, man. It's just kind of a crapshoot. I don't know how to respectfully say this, so I'm just going to sit down. But I'm telling you, it's a bad idea for traffic and the kids and the safety of the public, which is what we really ought to be concerned about. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? No? Okay.
I just feel like, they're talking about parents from the high school parking on their street, which really doesn't have anything to do with the ice cream parlor. Parents are still going to park on that street, whether there's an ice cream parlor there or not, because they're already doing it now. So I don't really feel like that has a bearing on what we're talking about.
Okay, thank you. Commission members, anything else? No? Is this one we should hold open? I mean, do we have she says yes to the fence, but we have no property owner's approval.
So you have until May 1st. That's the date that the public hearing has to be closed. You could leave this one open and basically say, could you get a letter for the next meet? We meet in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Get a letter in the next meeting saying you're okay with that improvement on site. But you also,
I don't know, but it was asked for and she stated yes. And then, you kind of need the property owner's approval. We close the public hearing and he says no, we're kind of stuck. That's all I'm trying to say. We're stuck with what was one person asked for.
But also, you close the public hearing. If that becomes a condition of approval, then she can't proceed if that fence isn't installed.
It might be in her best interest
And the
us
way I
up here
would
too.
suggest if we handle that a condition of approval is say, No building permit is to be issued for interior fit out until a fence is installed along northern property with whatever the address is at, that way then too, just like what you did on East Mitchell, that site work is completed before you start going in the building. But then she's stuck in it, like you said, she's stuck in a limbo where if the property owner doesn't agree to it, can't proceed.
But I don't know if we all want the fence. Like, I don't think that's a good idea. So
I'm not saying yes or no to the fence. I'm just saying, is it smart to close the public hearing without knowing whether it would be approved or not? I'm sorry, say it again.
Carrying open, ask the property owner if he's okay with a fence, and that just, then you're safe.
Okay, just, I mean, whether whoever up here agrees with the fence, doesn't agree with the fence, at least there's an option to continue to talk about it if we have approval or not approval from the property owner. Sound good? Okay. So with this one, we'll leave this public hearing open. Thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn the public hearing? Move Mr. Caderas, second by Mr. Mercado. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting for Monday, April 10th, 2023. Can I get a motion to accept the public hearing and regular meeting from March 27th, 2023? Move by Mr. Talley, second by Mr. Mercado. Discussions, comments, anything that was in the minutes? Sensing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries, how many go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 801 with Mr. Caderas abstaining. Communications, are we comfortable now on the fiscal review of the capital 5-year expenditure plan? You're going to abstain, Mr. Strollo? Okay. Anyone issues? We have a motion, I think, right?
Yeah,
If,
I just want one update for the commission, for those who didn't know this, that the town council has recommended to move funding for updating the POCD to year 1. The plan before you has it in year 2, but since your last meeting, they met the Tuesday afterwards, they consensus said to put it up for year 1. Sorry.
Sure.
So what is the amount of money that is allocated to that?
For the POCD update, it's $180,000. And I came up with that number by asking several of my peers, similar sized communities who just recently updated their POCD, what did they spend on updating it? And that's including with the consultant doing the actual update, but also means of public outreach, surveys, et cetera, to try to get as much input from the public as possible.
I think it's wonderful. I mean, I think last time we didn't have any budget for it, did we? We just, I don't.
Chairman Kurtz, I'm just going to recuse myself on the whole thing so that, because you have enough people to vote. 9.
Yeah, we already know you recused, and Mr. Bowman came in, so we're good
Okay,
to
okay,
go.
we're good. All right. So over there.
No reason for my idle chatter on that. I'm just surprised because last time I think we had nobody.
I didn't think we have anything.
We had Gil, one of our commission members was doing the survey for us.
We had the Survey Monkey, and there must have been something that we had.
And without charging anything, I think.
Yeah. No, real professional job. Okay, you just joined the meeting. Did you have any comments on the 5-year capital budget?
No.
No? Okay, you want to hear the motion?
Motion to find that the 2023-2024 5-year capital expenditure plan and annual capital budget is consistent with the goals and objectives of the 2016 Plan of Conservation Development, and further that the Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission send a positive report to the town council regarding the plan.
Move Mr. Caderas. Second by Mr. Mercado. Discussion on the motion. Mr. Bowman?
No.
Oh.
Nope.
You hit the button. That's why I thought you were maybe here. Ready to talk. Any discussion? Nope. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Notice of exempt modification for AT&T. they're just showing us that they're doing something. I didn't understand why that was in our packet and what we're supposed to do about it.
So I've been trying to keep you updated on activities of the siting council, because under docket 34, they're supposed to inform the entity that they otherwise would seek approvals for. This one is just swapping out antennas. It's not something that I think triggers comments from this commission, but I want to make, as I promised the commission in the past, moving forward, you're going to keep getting those in your packet. If it's something that should have some sort of comment from the town, a staff will prepare a memorandum ahead of time so that you know why. No,
Okay,
no
but there's
action,
nothing, no
comment,
action from us, just it's
Nope.
there.
just as
Okay.
information.
On that tower, do you know when that was built, Matt? The AT&T tower. When was that built? I have no idea. When was the original
was
tower?
Built, I believe it was started around 68.
All right, well, I was born in
68,
68, so I don't remember
69-ish.
it. Yeah, so I mean, I don't remember, I know, that's what I was wondering, what is the future of the tower? Like, how long is it good for? I mean, before they have to redo
It's
it?
also the connection for long lines. That's why it's buried
No, I know, but
4 stories deep.
it's got to be replaced, I would think, at some time. It's not going to last forever, right? I just want, that's what
I will
was
tell like, you what, that was built bomb-proof.
Yeah, so I mean, I just wondered if that was going to be something that they're going to
think
do
it'll be
down the line. That's when I saw the stuff come in, I'm like, oh my God, are they going to really take it down and rebuild it or something? That's what I was thinking, but just adding a couple of antennas is all they're doing.
Yeah, and so when the carriers go before the siting council and try to do this, either add to the existing tower or modify the existing co-locators that are on the towers, they do an assessment of the structure to say whether or not they can do the work. And in that time period, let's say they go out there and say, this thing's, its life is past.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Is there a life expectancy on the tower? That's, I mean, it's a pretty big structure. I mean, I don't know if it won't hit anything if it falls down, because I think it's designed where if it falls down, it stays on their property. But I just wondered. That's why I was asking you. I figured you would know. You think 68?
No, but it's all that technology's passed. Everything was done, when that was built, that was all done with wiring. It was all the communications.
Yeah,
Actually,
I'm
I
just
think
saying the
going-
structure itself. I mean, it's 55 years old. The structure itself. That's what I'm concerned about. you know?
I'm honestly telling you that was built to withstand bombing. So it's going to be there for a long time.
Okay, under unfinished business, we have the town. Is everyone comfortable with the library parking lot? To be voted on? Yeah, can we hear the motion for that, please?
Motion to approve special permit on behalf of Merrick Clement, town engineer, applicant, town of Cheshire, care of Sean Kimball, town manager, owner. Applicants requesting special permit pursuant to section 3029A municipal buildings and usage of the town of Cheshire zoning regulations for Cheshire Public Library parking lot improvements located at 104 Main Street, Assessors Map 5, Lot 237. Approval is based on plans titled Cheshire Public Library Parking Lot Improvements, 104 Main Street, Cheshire, Connecticut, Map 57, Lot 237, Zone R20A, prepared by J.R. Russo Associates LLC with a revision date of March 2nd, 2023. Further, the commission finds that the applicant demonstrated compliance with the applicable section of the zoning regulations.
Well, Mr. Mercado, seconded
Second.
by Mr. Bowman. Discussion on this motion. Pretty good one, adding more parking to the library, which is in desperate need of it. I like how they're working with the neighbors, or trying to work with the neighbors, and just cleaning up the whole area back there, making the flow better in and out, and it looks great to me, so. With that, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries unanimous. I'm gonna take Mr. Hilsinger out. He did not vote on this because we have 10 members up here right now. All right, what do we want to do? We got Apex Realty. Are you guys comfortable on that? Not comfortable on that? What are we?
Apex?
Did I skip one?
It's further.
It's further down. I'm sorry. Did we, I lost a copy of the motions. I mean,
Mr. Chairman, maybe 242, you know, you want to take time, you've heard
We
a
heard some
lot of
stuff tonight,
testimony
yeah.
tonight in the plan of conservation development, and you still have some
We have time
discussion
on
and
it?
interpretation.
Okay.
You want to take time on that one? You have.
I'm totally for that, so. Is it, I mean, the zone text change, we should probably wait on that too, which where the other part is open, I mean. You guys tell me. No, zone text change for, the ice cream, Lisa Calhoun. Because I did close that, I mean, we could wait on that also.
I'm going to refuse myself.
We left the actual thing, it was closed. We can leave that too. Let's not vote on that. We'll just wait. Do it together? Yeah, that works for me. The rest of these are all scheduled for 4/24. New business. This is our
Moratorium.
Our moratorium. So we hear the motion for that, please?
Motion to approve petition for a zone text amendment on behalf of the Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission applicant is requesting amendment to section 31.5, 43.8, and 45 to have a temporary and limited moratorium of all developments within the C1, C2, C3 zoning districts, planned residential infill development, and special development districts. The commission finds the proposed text amendment consistent with the goals and objectives of the 2016 Plan of Concentrated Development. Further, the commission approves the moratorium for a period of 6 months with the effective date of April 29th, 2023.
Move, Mr. Talley, second by Mr. Mercado. Discussion on this motion.
So it'll be 6 months from April 29th. So it's actually October 29th will be the expiration date.
Pending anything that's up in front of us now, if not, we won't be subject to this, so.
And anything that gets submitted prior to.
But again, I'm going to say that most of the applications are special permit, and we have the ability to scrutinize a little closer with that regulation.
But we can't do it. It will be treated the same way it is now.
Yes.
Anything that comes before us before the
Absolutely.
29th, I mean, there's nothing we can do about that anyway, so.
No, but I'm just.
But at
mentioning
least
the fact
we get the ball rolling so we can get started on changing whatever if we want to change or whatever way we want to do it, so. Any other discussion? No? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Special permit for car wash?
So that's a special permit for, actually, it's a demolition of the Arby's building and construction of a car wash at the property.
Wow, okay. And that's both of them. That's for 522?
Yep.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I pushed that public hearing out to the end of May just because of everything else we have right now on the docket, not to get jammed up, because we've agreed to that May 8th is reserved for cannabis only,
Yes, okay.
May 8th.
And just for everyone's knowledge, the meeting for the C districts, I put together a commission of myself, Mr. Tedesco, Mr. Talley, and Mr. Mercado. And I talked about it before, how there's less people, and not that we don't want to hear from anyone else, it's just I think we could hash it out a lot quicker with 4 people down there. All your suggestions are obviously, welcome to the meeting. I mean, it's just a lot easier without 10 people or 12 people in a room. I feel it is anyways. And please don't anyone think that they can't comment on it or we're trying to exclude anybody, because that is not the intent of this. It's just we have a short time limit, and I think that's the way it should be done. So, one more thing I found kind of troubling tonight, Mr. Bowman's, when he recused himself from the application. The town council, they should know better, I feel. And I don't know how they conduct their public hearings, but public hearings, they should conduct them the same way we conduct public hearings. Is there a way to get a message maybe to the town manager that
Forget the
that's
town manager, we
absolutely
call the Attorney
unacceptable?
General.
Yeah, it's unacceptable in
I mean,
my eyes.
They've texted people during the public hearing while we're having this,
I think,
which is way over bounds.
yeah, I think it's something that should be raised to the town attorney. And let
I
the
would
town
love to.
attorney, with your permission, I'll talk to Jeff tomorrow and see if he can draft something to kind of say, talking to a regulatory body during a pending public hearing is out of bounds and that behavior needs to stop. If they have a
Immediately.
question, they
Should
can
never even
call
happen.
Staff.
Just not out of bounds. It's chastising me for the opinions that I had on that application. I don't take that from anybody, and I certainly don't appreciate it from him.
But you could get it from anybody that happens. But I'm just saying that someone that's on the town council should know. And we don't have to say who it is, but someone on the town council should know that that is completely unacceptable. I mean, we know what happens from people left and right, and we always have to say, listen, I can't talk, I don't want to hear it, but they should know the rules. And if they don't need the rules, they don't know the rules, and maybe somebody should, refresh them or something. I find it appalling. I really do.
wrong?
So that's just my opinion, but that's dead wrong.
One way you could do that, is a little bit careful, is to indicate to either town council or town attorney that because of that phone call, Mr. Bowman felt it necessary to recuse himself. And everybody in the commission agrees that Mr. Bowman did the right thing by doing that and that it was an improper communication. So that makes it a little bit easier to, because the whole commission is, you express the whole commission's view. Mr. Bowman felt he had to recuse himself. We all agreed that was right.
And we're all equally concerned.
And even things, for example, we just for the record, we all got a letter from people on Shipman Drive. I opened mine, I saw it was for planning and zoning. I never looked at it, never opened it. And I think anybody else that brought you and you put up. That's just another example of the kind of thing that should not happen. But citizens don't know that. And we can understand where they would send us a letter. Nobody read it, they can do that. But the town council should understand that.
If Mr. Mercado is now saying that some other members of this commission are receiving text during public hearings, that is completely,
That's even worse.
that is worse. That's trying, we were elected to do a job here, and sometimes the job we do people like, and sometimes the job we do people don't like. But certainly, we try to do the best we can. And to have people trying to interfere with our decisions during this time is, I do feel the Attorney General should be notified by this.
You mean the town attorney?
No, I
Well, let's start.
General.
Let's start with
Attorney General.
Let's start with the town attorney and see what the town attorney's opinion is on
Yeah,
whatever.
No, that's just my opinion,
Okay.
Lou. I'm
I know you're looking to
frustrated by
speak there,
this
but
whole
we can't.
process.
This is our regular meeting. It's not a public hearing. We're not, so. No.
Oh, don't do that.
Not Merrick Garland, right? You should talk about Merrick Garland.
You know what, I'm, Lou,
It's been a long night.
it's been a long night. I'm flustered.
Okay. Is there anything else to come before
Yeah.
the commission tonight? No.
Nothing
Okay.
else.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mr. Tally, seconded by Mr. Mercado. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.